Scientists always told us that it couldn't be done, that primitive humans weren't smart enough, strong enough, or resourceful enough to cross treacherous mountains and vast seas. But stunning new evidence tells a different story. Our early ancestors didn't just survive, they conquered the harshest landscapes on Earth over 1.8 million years ago in one of the greatest migration stories never told. I'm Alex Arnold, and this is Arnie's Brain Train, where we're about to blow your mind with the incredible journey of Homo erectus. Before we dive in further, make sure you check out the sources that are linked in the description below. Each of the facts in this video are backed by scientific research that you can explore further. And stick around until the end for a brain-melting question that might just change how you see humanity forever. So, if this is your first time here, get ready for a mind-bending adventure through time. And if you're returning, welcome back. Now, let's begin our journey back in time. 1.8 million years back, to be precise. If you could stand next to a Homo erectus, they'd be surprisingly familiar. They walked upright like us, and they stood between 4'9" and 6'1". Their brain was about 2/3 the size of ours, but don't let that fool you. Homo erectus was one of the most successful human species to have ever lived, according to paleoanthropologist Andy Harrius. These remarkable ancestors appeared around 2 million years ago and survived until at least 108,000 years ago, making them the longest surviving human species ever. That's right, they existed for over 1.8 million years, while we modern humans have only been around for about 300 to 400,000 years so far. That definitely puts our existence in perspective. But what really made Homo erectus truly extraordinary wasn't just their survival, it was their wanderlust. These ancient humans were the first great explorers in our family tree. So let's go ahead and take a look at what made them so special. First, their bodies. Unlike earlier human species with shorter legs and longer arms, Homo erectus had body proportions remarkably similar to ours. Longer legs, shorter arms, and narrow hips perfect for walking long distances. Their bodies were literally built for travel. Second, their brains. With a cranial capacity between 700 to 1200 cc, modern humans average about 1400 cc, they had significantly larger brains than their predecessors. This extra brain power didn't just help them survive, it helped them innovate. And innovate they did. Homo erectus created the first standardized stone tools, teardrop-shaped hand axes that paleontologists call the Swiss Army knife of prehistoric tools. These weren't just random rocks, but they were carefully crafted implements that required planning and skill to create. Why should you care about these ancient travelers anyway? Because their journey shaped human evolution in profound ways. The adaptations they developed to survive in new environments, from improved toolmaking to social cooperation, laid the groundwork for our own species' success. Without their pioneering spirit, we might not exist today. Something just kind of fun to consider, unlike us, Homo erectus didn't have smartphones, GPS, or even maps, so every step that they took into new territory was a step into the complete unknown. That takes some serious courage, I think so anyway. Let's kind of shift gears a little bit, and now we're going to face a puzzling question that archaeologists have debated for decades. Why would early humans leave the familiar landscapes of Africa for unknown, potentially dangerous territories? For years, scientists believed they simply followed expanding savanna grasslands, the Savanistan hypothesis. As climate change around 1.9 million years ago pushed Africa's grasslands into Asia, Homo erectus supposedly followed their preferred habitat like passengers on a slow-moving train. But recent discoveries tell a more complex story. At sites like Ubeidia in Israel and Manisi in Georgia, dating to around 1.8 million years ago, we see evidence of Homo erectus living in varied environments, not just savannas. These weren't passive migrants, they were active explorers with remarkable adaptability. The evidence is literally written in stone, and in teeth for that matter. Analysis of Homo erectus teeth shows wear patterns consistent with an incredibly varied diet. Unlike their predecessors who were more specialized eaters, these ancient explorers ate whatever was available: meat, plants, tubers, possibly seafood, adapting their new diet to new environments as they traveled. Now, let me transport you back to their world. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine Earth 1.8 million years ago. The continents looked similar to today, but sea levels were significantly lower, creating land bridges where seas now exist. What's now Indonesia was largely connected to mainland Asia, forming a vast landmass called Sundaland. The Middle East was greener, with flowing rivers creating corridors through otherwise harsh terrain. But don't think that the journey was easy. Our ancestors faced three major obstacles that experts once thought impossible to overcome. 1. Extreme climate variations from scorching deserts to freezing mountains. 2. Dangerous predators including saber-toothed cats and giant hyenas. And 3. Geographical barriers like mountain ranges, rivers, and eventually the ocean. So, just a little thought experiment. Imagine yourself being dropped into a completely foreign environment with only stone tools and your wits. How would you survive? What would you eat? Where would you find shelter? Every day was this challenge for Homo erectus. Understanding how they overcame these challenges reveals something remarkable about human potential and might just change how you see your own capabilities. In fact, I'd argue that this adaptability is the defining feature of humanity, more than our tools, our language, and even our big brains. But before we continue, go ahead and hit that like button if you're enjoying this journey through human prehistory. It helps more curious minds find our channel. The first major barrier our ancestors faced: mountains. Imagine your GPS telling you to cross the Alps with no equipment, no maps, and only the most basic stone tools. That's essentially what Homo erectus had to do. The journey from Africa to Asia required crossing several major mountain ranges, including the Zagros Mountains between modern-day Iraq and Iran, and the Taurus Mountains in Turkey. With peaks soaring over 14,000 feet, these aren't casual hiking trails, they're formidable barriers with unpredictable weather, scarce resources, and treacherous terrain. But the fossil evidence tells us that they did make it. At Dmanisi in Georgia, archaeologists have found 5 Homo erectus skulls dating to 1.8 million years ago, proving they successfully navigated these geographical challenges. This site represents one of the earliest human settlements outside of Africa, a testament to their extraordinary capabilities. Let's just stop for a second and actually consider how incredible this is. These weren't modern mountaineers with Gore-Tex jackets and hiking boots. They were early humans with basic stone tools, possibly animal hide clothing, and absolutely no knowledge of what lay ahead. So how did they do it? Here's what the evidence suggests. First, they likely followed river valleys that cut through mountain ranges, providing natural pathways. Rivers also offered reliable water sources and attracted animals that they could hunt. The timing of their migration coincides with periods when these corridors would have been most accessible, during warmer periods between ice ages. Second, they were remarkably opportunistic. Analysis of their teeth suggests they ate everything from meat to plants to roots, whatever was available in changing environments. This flexibility was crucial for surviving in varied mountain ecosystems where food sources changed dramatically with elevation. Third, they traveled in groups. The fossil record suggests Homo erectus lived in social bands of 10 to 30 individuals, combining their knowledge and skills. When one person discovered an edible plant or effective shelter method, that knowledge could be shared with the entire group. Fourth, and perhaps most importantly, they were compassionate. The care shown to disabled individuals at sites like Dmanisi suggests strong social bonds. A skull found there shows an elderly individual who had lost nearly all their teeth years before death, yet survived with their group's health. They didn't abandon the weak, they had supported them. All of this knowledge and information is relevant and valuable for us today. It reveals that human success has always depended on adaptability and cooperation. Our ancestors survived not because they were the strongest, but because they worked together and adapted to challenges. Even though today we might use Google Maps to navigate mountain passes, the fundamental human qualities that allowed us to overcome challenges haven't changed in nearly 2 million years. When facing obstacles, we still rely on the same core strengths: adaptability, cooperation, and determination. Now for the most controversial part of our story. Did Homo erectus cross open water? For decades, scientists dismissed the possibility. After all, we're talking about people with stone tools, not shipbuilders. But the evidence is becoming harder to ignore. Homo erectus reached the island of Java by 1.8 million years ago, and Flores by around 1 million years ago. Islands that were never fully connected to the mainland, even during the lowest sea levels. Let me repeat that. These lands were never connected to the mainland. Like it or not, the fossils don't lie. Homo erectus remains have been discovered at sites like Sangiron in Java dating to 1.8 million years ago. And on Flores, stone tools dating back 1 million years suggest their presence long before modern humans arrived. This truth in and of itself then raises another fascinating question in human evolution. Were they intentional seafarers, or did they arrive by accident? The debate among scientists has been intense. Some researchers, like Robert Bednarik, believe they built simple rafts, perhaps logs bound together with vines. He's even conducted experimental archaeology, building and successfully navigating primitive rafts using only technology available to Homo erectus. This would have required planning, communication, and spatial thinking far beyond what many scientists previously thought possible for Homo erectus. It would mean that they could conceptualize distant lands that they couldn't see and organize cooperative efforts to reach them. Others suggest that they might have been swept out to sea during storms or floods, clinging to floating vegetation, accidental voyagers who got lucky. In this scenario, perhaps only a few individuals survived the journey, establishing small founder populations on these islands. I think the most likely explanation may be somewhere in between. Perhaps they weren't building complex vessels, but were opportunistically crossing narrow straits during times of low sea levels, island hopping their way across Southeast Asia. During ice ages, sea levels dropped significantly, creating shorter crossing distances, but never eliminating them entirely. Let's look at the science. Archaeological evidence from Flores shows repeated hominin presence over hundreds of thousands of years. This suggests not just one lucky accident, but multiple successful crossings. The probability of continuous accidental crossings over such a long period is astronomically low. To me, I think about myself being on a shoreline looking across the water to an island on the horizon. Would I attempt to cross the water without a modern boat? What would drive me to take such a risk? Was it curiosity, necessity, or was it something else entirely? As Bednarik suggests, we consistently underestimate the capabilities of our ancestors. The archaeological record repeatedly shows that whenever we draw a line and say, early humans couldn't possibly have done this, we're proven wrong. This information matters because it shows how often we underestimate human ingenuity throughout history. Whether intentional or accidental, the presence of early humans on these islands proves that they were far more capable than we once believed. And here's the mind-blowing part. DNA studies suggest that some of these island populations may have survived in isolation for hundreds of thousands of years, developing unique adaptations to their island environments. The story of Homo erectus isn't just ancient history, it's a mirror reflecting our own human nature. When you feel the urge to explore new places, try new foods, or learn new skills, You're channeling the same adaptable spirit that allowed Homo erectus to spread across half the world with nothing but stone tools and determination. Their legacy lives on in our DNA. Recent genetic studies suggest that some Homo erectus populations may have contributed to the modern human genome, particularly in Asia. We carry their explorer spirit with us, not just culturally, but perhaps biologically as well. Let's just take a moment to appreciate how just extraordinary their achievement was. Starting from relatively small populations in Africa, Homo erectus expanded to inhabit environments from the tropical islands of Southeast Asia to the temperate zones of Europe and Asia. They adapted to mountains, deserts, forests, and coastal regions, each presenting unique challenges requiring different survival strategies. And they did all of this in an almost unfathomable time span. To put it in perspective, Homo erectus, 1.8 plus million years. Neanderthals, about 400,000 years. Homo sapiens, about 300,000 years. Recorded human history, about 5,000 years. The more we learn about Homo erectus, the more we're forced to reconsider our assumptions about what makes us human. For decades, archaeologists debated what separates us from our ancient relatives. Is it tool use, language, art, compassion? But Homo erectus challenges many of these distinctions. They created sophisticated tools. They cared for their weak and elderly. They successfully navigated complex terrain requiring advanced planning. And they may have even crossed open water. All of this knowledge enriches our understanding of what it means to be a human. We've always been explorers, adaptable and resilient. From the mountains of Georgia to the islands of Indonesia, Homo erectus left their mark on the world and on us. And here's something else to consider. If our ancient ancestors could overcome seemingly impossible barriers with the most primitive technology, what might we accomplish with our advanced tools and knowledge? The human capacity for exploration and adaptation might be our most precious evolutionary inheritance. So, my fellow knowledge junkies, I have a question for you. What impossible obstacle do you think humans will overcome next? The depths of the ocean? The vacuum of space? The challenges of climate change? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Imagine yourself standing on a beach in Southeast Asia 1.8 million years ago, watching a group of Homo erectus gazing across the water toward a distant island. Did they have doubts? Fear? Curiosity? We'll never know any of this for certain, but we do know that they made the journey that scientists once declared impossible. And that brings us to the brain-melting question I promised you at the beginning, and this is for you personally. What impossible journeys might you be capable of that you've never even considered? Our ancestors didn't know that they would change the course of human evolution. They were just taking the next step in front of them, again and again, across continents and millennia. So I hope the next time that you face what seems like an impossible obstacle, remember the legacy of Homo erectus. Remember that the drive to explore, to overcome, and to adapt is literally written in your DNA, a gift from ancestors who crossed mountains and seas with nothing but their wits and determination. Well guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this expedition into our ancient past, help other curious minds find us by smashing that like button and subscribing to Arnie's Brain Train. All of our sources are linked in the description below for deeper exploration. I've spent months researching this topic to bring you the most accurate and up-to-date information so you can trust that what you're learning here is backed by science. And I'd love to know, what impossible human achievement do you want to learn about next? Drop your suggestion in the comments below. The most popular ideas might become our next video. This is Alex Arnold, reminding you that the world isn't always as simple as it seems, but it's always this interesting. All aboard the brain train, and I'll see you guys next time.